Good afternoon. I'm gonna wait a little while for a couple of people to show up. Um, I've also put the link in the chat for anybody that wants to come up when I start speaking. I am I'm gonna be speaking today about how important it is to not listen to women, especially Black women online, both on YouTube and TikTok, trying to convince Black women not to vote in the upcoming elections, which are extremely paramount to our survival and to regaining all of the rights we have lost so far in this administration of Trump being president. So I'm gonna just give it a few minutes, let a couple of people come in before I start talking, because I'm gonna be talking about one particular YouTuber, TikToker who blocked me from her account because I challenged her on that very topic. All right. Let me just give people a minute. Yeah, I don't think that type of shit is cool. I don't think that women, Black women, especially when they know how hard it is out here for Black women to live, that you are actually out here telling other Black women that you can collapse the system by not participating in it. That is the dumbest shit I have ever heard. That is the fastest way to get your ass back into slavery and to have this country fall into some type of South African American apartheid. That is the last thing you want to do. And it doesn't make sense for Black women to even suggest that to other Black women when we have domestic violence as an issue where Black women are 6 times more likely to suffer from domestic violence than any other women in this country. And then we have Black femicide taking the lives of Black women and little girls every day, where we're 3 times more likely to have our lives taken from us by Black males, not just the women, but our daughters as well. And you have YouTubers and TikTokers like this woman, You're Triggered, telling Black women not to vote. What? All right, I'm gonna just start. Okay, y'all. So this video is going to be dedicated to me finding out that I did a video, right, in response on TikTok to that woman on YouTube who started on YouTube and then it's now over on TikTok, right? Called You're Triggered. Now, you guys know her. She's a millennial, I believe, in age, right? A while ago, when I stopped making so many videos on TikTok, I mean, sorry, on YouTube, because YouTube was like banning me and it literally shut down my other channel because they said I was too radical when it came to Black women. Now, it's funny how when Black women speak about other Black women's empowerment, our safety, our financial stability, our political empowerment, we're considered radical or we're considered militant. When to be militant is not a bad thing. It just means that you're looking out for your group of women, the same way everybody else does with their group. When you speak about feminism, and you talk about women understanding that until you have full rights, inequality, injustice will never stop. Because you don't talk about femininity and the feminine movement, the feminist movement, the way you should. We have people like Adriana Smith laying in a hospital in Georgia, being a modern day fucking science experiment the same way they did Henrietta Leaks, and nobody gives a fuck. And the reason I'm upset about it is because I see millennial women on YouTube and TikTok every day, like literally clouding the minds of Black women with bullshit, like You're Triggered, about relationship talk, marriage talk, um, family talk, all of this internalized misogyny and reiterated patriarchal bull, right? Bullshit. And when I pointed out, the bitch blocks me, even though I was not on her channel speaking to her directly, right? She blocks and then continues to give the same message. So you gotta understand sometimes black women that just because you want to like have a sense of belonging with certain black women because you feel like they're in your age category, they can relate to you better, etc., etc. That for the most part, that's not the fucking case. The majority of these women on here with huge platforms, and I'm talking about all of them, your fucking favorites, they're all on here just for money. They don't really give a fuck about black women. Because if they did, they would literally be on here preaching. They'd be on here preaching morning, noon, and night for you to be on a full campaign of being a feminist. I'm very sorry. We have women dying every day because they live in states where there are abortion bans, and nobody gives a fuck about that. But they will come online, and I don't care who it is. I don't care how anybody feels today. I'm speaking my mind. It could be Cynthia, it could be that whack ass chick, Verb and Bougie, You're Triggered, and a host of other women. Come on here all motherfucking day talking about dumbass relationships, celebrity bullshit, but never come on here and say black women. If you want things to change in America, you have to be politically active. You have to understand that you have to get out of the mindset of thinking that when you choose a party to designate yourself to vote, that you got to be mentally locked into that shit and you can't think the way you should with an open mind and an educated mind about what somebody's policies are going to do to you and your daughters short term and long term in this country. You got to understand that you don't represent a motherfucking party. You represent the power to get people to act on your behalf, to be as beneficial to your health and welfare as they can be by simply pulling a damn lever in a booth or scanning a sheet to get what you need out of life. You got to understand that. And it is so much deeper than, oh, you're on the Republican side or you're on the Democratic side. And this is what is making me crazy because you have these women like, and I'm specifically talking about that You're Triggered chick today because she has fucking triggered me. I'm telling you. I hate to see millennial women think they know every fucking thing and oh, don't listen to Gen X because they're fucking stupid. They're old. They don't know anything. They're the reason we're in all these problems. I've heard this bitch say all this shit. Do you hear me? Over all the time, her channels have been on YouTube and on TikTok. Okay, I get that's the common consensus these days because white people also play into this bullshit. This is the reason why therapy all of a sudden has become a trend. And within that trend of black women going to therapy, these white people now are promoting alienation of parents, which are usually people like me, Gen X's or boomers above me and my mother. Okay, the reason they do that is because they want you younger women not to have no financial support. No support in any other way when it comes to having childcare for your children. So you could continue to get your education by getting your degrees or just work. And y'all are not seeing it the way you should see it because you're so busy trying to identify with some black woman that sees you as a fucking dollar sign. Like this chick definitely does. This is not the first time this chick came at me. I'm telling y'all right now, okay? The first time I encountered her bullshit was when she was coming after my age and talking about how I was delusional and because of my age, I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't relate to women. As if this bitch doesn't realize that I was once 20 something, 30 something, and all those fucking years that she has already gone through. I've been there fucking done that. So you can't tell me I don't relate to shit when I literally live through it. And every woman that ever is born will live through the same fucking thing. You will be one to whatever age it is that you die. None of us are excluded from that unless we die as a child. So you don't get to tell me I don't understand what it means to be 20 something, 30 something, or 40 something, and then turn around and say you know better when you're being stupid enough to tell black women not to vote in the fucking midterms. Y'all need to remember and pay attention to these Disney women y'all are on here flocking to and listening to as if they are some fucking icon. And that includes all of them. Cynthia with her bullshit where she's always harping on fucking worrying about black men fucking preferences and biracial people. You have to really look at these people and see what all their fucking issues are, and then take with them what you need and throw the rest of that bullshit away. Because all of them are literally on here just for your money. There's not one episode I don't watch where she's not talking about getting paid to speak. If you need somebody to pay you to speak, then you need to, work your shit out and be a paid speaker. But I'm telling you, y'all have got to do better because listening to these dumbass women on TikTok and YouTube, y'all are gonna fuck around, right? And you see what's happening to the Hispanic people right now when they didn't listen to their warning. What is happening to them? You're not going to listen to people like me telling you who gives a fuck what they got to say. You know what you're supposed to do in life. You know that in this country, if you do not cast your vote, you're going to be the victim of everything those politicians decide to do. Black women, we came out strong for Kamala. We cannot control what other people do with their vote, but you can control your money, your time, and where you put your energy. And since all those people, including black males, let us down, you should not be out here voting in their best interest going forward. Going forward, you know that in order for women to get back their rights and for us to be able to again start everything over from whence we came because they tore all the shit down, you have to get rid of this majority of Republicans. You have to put in Democrats, whether you like those motherfuckers or not, because they are the weaker of the two parties. You could talk to them and say, listen, if you don't start doing more for black women and start making how we live in this country better, we are going to stop voting for you. And we will put our own fucking candidates in office because we have enough black women to do it. Right now in New York, this week and next week, it's a special election for council people, right? So we have literally two black women running. And I think it's two black men too. However, black women, you should understand that there's no man on the face of this earth that is ever going to walk into a committee meeting and have your best interest in mind when it comes to dealing with issues of your body and how laws affect your body and your freedom. So even if you don't like that lady, you need to vote for women, black women, to get into office to represent your concerns. You can't just vote in Hispanics or white women because they have proven they don't give a fuck about your concerns or how you're living in this country. We saw that with the last election, right? In 2024. They all voted against women and they voted for men, right? And we lost Roe versus Wade. We lost DEI. We lost affirmative action. We lost a whole lot of shit that we need to get back. With this administration, this president has, by way of Congress, meaning that once his dumbass proposals go to the House of Representatives and all of his Republicans that outnumber the Democrats vote on his bills to become law, they go back to the Senate, and all of those majority of Republicans in the Senate, they vote on all that silly shit he wants to become a law, and it does. Like the SAVE Act. That law now is one where it bars married women from voting if they are married and have their husband's last name. That is a lot of motherfucking women. So when I'm saying to you People like you're triggered have got it completely wrong when they're telling you that you dismantled the system by not participating in it. You go on and listen to that millennial if you want to, and watch and see what will happen to all of us black women. We will literally be back in slavery, and you might as well put the fucking chain on your neck yourself and your hands and your feet, because that is what you would be signing yourself up for. And what I really want black women to stop doing is to realize that any women that are really not out here explaining to black women that relationships, marriage, having children at a time where there are abortion bans, you can literally go to jail for the rest of your life, or they just passed a law the other day where the only people allowed in hospitals to get immediate medical emergency treatment are men. So if you are still listening to black women on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or anything, having fucking conversations about marriage, relationships, 50-50, cohabitating with those motherfuckers, having children, worrying about dating old men for money, prostitution, sugar baby shit, whatever it is they're talking about. If you still listening to black women talking about that stuff in this time when women are literally under attack, you have lost your goddamn mind and you need to go back and find it. Because what is literally happening in this country, if you're not paying attention, fuck that dumbass movie. What is that shit y'all all be watching? It's equivalent to the goddamn Scarlet Letter, but it's called something. The Handmaid's Tale. Fuck that bullshit. Okay, this is real life. If you are out here listening to these women and these black male incels that yesterday they was a passport bro, but today they a Dante Kyle or whatever the fuck his name is, if you don't throw all these people in the fucking garbage and understand that we as black women need to start rallying amongst each other to worry about our rights and the futures of our daughters and to hell with males, period, I don't know what to tell you, but the same shit that's happening to the Hispanics right now in front of your eyes will literally exclusively be only black women. You are literally walking yourself into a world where slavery will be legal, but only for black women. And you will have black males on board with every fucking race of people in this country against you. It is such a reality. You know what I'm saying is true. And this is why when you are listening to these women, like you're triggered, telling you some shit like that, like you shouldn't vote, this is what you're setting yourself up for. And be careful of these women in these age groups where they have such a hatred and animosity towards older women like me, their own mamas, and any black woman that's older than them, and always have nothing but negative shit to say. That is a form of fucking discrimination and mental prejudice, implicit motherfucking bias called ageism. Because I guess they figure they gonna be 20 something forever, right? Them bitches ain't gonna never age. They ain't gonna never get old. They ain't gonna never be an old woman. They gonna always be young, glamorous, and what some nigga is interested in, right? Because honestly, in my opinion, because I don't read minds, but in my opinion, this is what's in the back of the brains of the bitches like her. She's worrying about being attractive to some nigga because I don't understand how people give a fuck about what she's saying in the first place because she's married to a black dude, but online talking about single women issues and what black women should do that the bitch ain't even doing herself. And then when I say to people listening to me on my platform, don't ever listen to anybody telling you not to vote. She's so fucking triggered herself by me correcting her bullshit and trying to tell black women that's not ever the way to go. She pulls blocks. She's never gonna be blocked on my channel because I want the bitch to hear what I gotta say. Okay? She's a fucked up person, but she's typical of all of these people that y'all push into the mainstream algorithm of YouTube and TikTok. You have bought into this false fucking identity of what do they call it? They have a slang term for it, like intellectualism, right? They're not smart. They're reiterating shit they heard from white people they watched the video of, or they read a fucking summary or abstract from some shit, and they just literally incorporated that shit into their monologue or into whatever it is they're doing in their video. I don't have to sit down and be quiet and pretend that I'm some intellectual giant to get my message across. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to cuss. I'm going to say the shit backwards and then come back and say it right because I'm a fucking human being, a full-fledged adult who does not apologize for being incorrect or not giving a fuck about being politically correct or societally correct. I don't give a fuck. When you live long enough, you're gonna feel the same fucking way. I've paid my dues to life and society to the point where I'm gonna speak my motherfucking mind, whether you care about it or not, want to hear it or not. Because I'm not kissing nobody's ass or placating to anybody to be the number one motherfucker on TikTok or YouTube just so I can make money because I don't have the ability to go out into the real motherfucking world and get a job that pays my motherfucking bills the way you should as an adult. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a fucking social media icon who has to come on here morning, noon, and fucking night and talk about any goddamn thing that's happening in internet streets just so I can eat next week. Y'all need to start looking at these people for who the fuck they are, all right? Because these applications have given these people a very, very false sense of grandiosity and thinking that they some type of fucking celebrity or god that they definitely are not. Because if you was that fucking great and that important, you would not be on no motherfucking TikTok or YouTube talking so you can live your life. That shit just, listen, that shit just made me get so upset because you have a lot of black women that do not have the age appropriate education, exposure to information that they need in order to understand that they're literally out here duping black women every day, both black women and definitely these black males that are complete incels, but who are now being very performative. And they're out here like Dante Kyle, what's the other one's name? Controversial Shannon, Public Defender, all them other dudes' names who I don't really know, but I see them when I scroll through TikTok, I scroll through YouTube, and they got 1,000,001 motherfucking women viewers because women have all this internalized misogyny. They got all this indoctrinated patriarchy, and they can't see that all these black dudes are not saying nothing that black women like me and many others online and in your family have not been telling you for years of your life that you have just intentionally dismissed and didn't give a fuck about because it was coming from another woman. And that's literally what all this shit is. She takes that frame of mind or that point of view you're triggered about collapsing the system by not participating in it because she got a nigga at home. So everything she talks about is from the reference of a glorified fucking pick me being performative to pretend like she's really out here for the benefit of other black women. Her and that other one that y'all love so fucking much, the Bourbon Bougie. She's another motherfucker like that. I seen y'all go 50,000 strong to put money in a funny looking light skinned fat chick's pocket. But when black women come on here and tell y'all we need to be more militant, we need to be more in the feminist movement, we need to be preaching about being a feminist, you'll be like, oh shit, what you talking about? Ain't nobody interested in that shit. But you'll listen to somebody who has all this alternative shit in the back of their head, which is why they really doing this. Performatively give you a message that ain't really hitting on shit. Because I don't give a fuck what they talking about on Reddit. I don't care about nobody else's relationship. I don't care about what celebrities are talking about. I don't give a fuck if Diddy gets out of jail or not. I hope that bitch nigga rot in there. him and any other pedophile and predator. Got me? But this is all they talk about. They never talk about the real consequences of black femicide, like what those women suffer through up to the point where those black males that black women come on here every day do lives about, videos about trying to get black women to coddle and have a level of stability for black males who are taking their lives every day, sexually violating their daughters in their homes and their sons, selling little girls, trafficking them overseas and for organs and everything else, and grabbing your kids and selling them into local prostitution, as they do so pervasively in Oakland, California, to the point where there's a whole YouTube channel of a white man exploiting these children. Black males have put out some prostitutes. I think that channel is called the Soft White Underbelly or some shit like that. Many of y'all know what I'm talking about. But when these black women like you, your trigger come on here and profess to be all about, we're on here about black women and us centering ourselves and the future of black, and you bullshit. Because you're not talking about any of the extenuating factors that come out of relationships or just being black women in proximity to black males who are predatory, violent, and criminal in nature. You ain't talking about none of that. All you talking about is breathing life into women, holding on to this fantasy of thinking a nigga might change and there might be the right guy for the job out there for me. Get the fuck out of here with that. Black women die every day. You don't see one black male on here, even those pretending ass Dante Kyles and all the rest of them, talking about black femicide and how that shit not only affects the women, but the children that are left behind. The communities that struggle to deal with those kids being placed in foster care or going into relatives' homes that are predatory, sexually preying on those children because this ignorant, insecure black motherfucker took their mama's life. Or none of these women are on here talking about the fact that instead of you telling black women not to vote in elections that can change everything around in this country that we're literally going through right now and make it better and make this shit stop, you don't feel that's important to talk about. You talk about dudes and relationships instead of talking about how the court system needs to be overhauled. We just had a 2-year-old little black boy in Brooklyn be thrown into the motherfucking river by his father, who was 20 years old. They just pulled that baby. I have to calm down because I'm getting very emotional, right? They just pulled that baby's body out of the river Monday. Today is Saturday. That baby had been missing for a while. All because the court system told the mother she had to go to court and prove that the dude was unfit. When these women like you're triggered are on here talking about black women who have these black male husbands at home and their minds are black male centered, I need y'all to understand that they're not thinking about that young black girl in Brooklyn who had her baby taken from her at knife point and had no recourse to get her baby back, didn't even know where her child was, and then be told that they just took this baby's body out of the fucking river Monday. Or the white woman that had three little girls made to be forced to give a father who was homeless, y'all. Nowhere for these little girls to sleep when they tired. Nowhere for these little girls to use the bathroom in private, outside of a public bathroom in McDonald's. The judge gave these dudes visitation, unsupervised visitation of children with fathers who have killed their mothers, been violent to their mothers to the point where their mothers had to either go to a domestic violence shelter to escape them, move to another state or country, This is the shit those women need to be talking about. Not going 50-50, not being in relationships with people, with black males talking about they want to be leaders, providers, and protectors. You you are not children. You don't need anybody to protect you. You don't need anybody to provide for you. And you don't need anybody to lead you like you are a pet or a 5-year-old child. You are a grown ass woman who should be able to do all three of those things and every fucking other thing you need in life for yourself. And any fucking man that or want to be called man that comes into your life, he needs to be supplemental to your life. And if he doesn't understand that his presence in your life does not mean automatic submission, the ability to control you, manipulate, and lord over you, then you don't need that motherfucker anyway. But this is what made me so upset about this your triggered chick for me to do this live today because I'm looking at right now in front of me as I'm sitting in my car. There's a young black girl in front of me in a fucking hoodie and a jacket getting screamed on by some fucking black dude in her face. He's he looks to be they both look to be no younger than like 22, and he is aggressively dehumanizing this woman. And they're arguing right now as they cross the street. I'm looking at them to walk to the train station. Why does she need to go through that? Look, look, look. I mean, y'all can't see it, but this is the shit that when these fake ass women like your trigger come on here talking about trying to help improve the lifestyles of black women, and they not talking about real shit like that and how to eliminate that, avoid that, and not be bothered with that at all, and to understand that in order for your life to get better in America, you have to be politically empowered. If they are not talking about real shit like that, instead of 50-50 and what the fuck some celebrities doing this week, or the Diddy trial, or some other motherfucker on here y'all made an internet celebrity, I I don't know what y'all are doing. I don't. When our lives are literally being taken from us out here, not just by black femicide, but by laws these racist white people are putting into power and into rotation of the government. And y'all are out here listening to millennials that tell you, a black woman like me, a Gen Xer, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm just some miserable old bitch who, because in their opinion, my breasts are sagging and my ass is not as shapely as it used to be, and I don't get dick the way they do. I'm just envious of that. If you don't understand how fucking stupid that shit is, I don't know what to tell you. And I really want y'all to really make a more concerted effort to just separate yourself from black males completely and all them dumbass women online that are always talking about relationships, 50-50, religion, letting dudes lead, men being providers, protectors, and all that bullshit. You are missing what is happening in the real world. Women are losing their rights over their bodies. Little baby girls whose insides are not mature enough to give birth are being raped and forced to have children in many states in this fucking country. And until black women wake up and every other woman wake up and realize that when you get these men out of representation in committees and in offices of the senator, offices of the congressman, the this, the that, the state assembly, the fucking mayor, the councilman, the ombudsman, the alderman. When you stop allowing these motherfuckers to be the majority of those bodies of government, and you put women in there, and you replace these dudes that don't know what it is to have a vagina, know how it feels to have a, another human being growing inside of you. They don't know shit about women at all. Making decisions and laws on our body. Until you literally are out here talking about that in masses the way you need to be, and trying to cripple court systems that put innocent children in the hands of homeless men and mentally ill motherfuckers, whether they are diagnosed or not, that throw babies that we took almost 10 fucking months to have and nurture and grow in our bodies into the motherfucking river. Y'all better stop with this shit and don't tell me nothing about I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because if black women were like me, the way I think, none of this shit would be happening. None of it. I get so offended and hurt when I think about the future of black girls and women in this country because they simply cannot just selfishly think about themselves and their own children, their daughters first and foremost, and themselves, and stop worrying about males, especially black males of any kind. We are going to suffer. We are going to end up living in a society where slavery is definitely back, but only for us. Because we already see from how the Hispanics are acting up and talking shit on YouTube and on TikTok about how we need to help them and all this bullshit because they helped us in a bullshit Black Lives Matter movement that black people stopped even participating in. Okay? But because they showed up for that, they feel like that shit erases all of their anti-blackness, the way they really hate black people and really hate black women. Because when Kamala lost that election, I was literally across the street in front of that tree where I walk Naya every day. And I'm walking my dog, not caring about anybody because I felt defeated because of the election, right? And a Hispanic man walked up to me and said, "Ha ha, you black women didn't win." And I just looked at him and I was taken aback for a few minutes. And I said, "Oh, it's ha ha, right?" I said, "But it's going to be boo hoo, motherfucker, when they come and start dragging your asses out this country." And he just laughed and walked down the street. Now, me, I didn't care about the ha ha. I cared more about the fact that these people, all of them, including the black males that voted for Trump and that were online talking about how black women need to get put back in their place and how education is not important and why do we think we're better than them and all this crazy shit, all of that stuff rushed into my mind at that one time. And I said to myself, black women are really out here on their own against the whole fucking world and everybody in this society, including these black males. But none of us really realize it like that. And so this is how I think on a regular basis. So when I heard your trigger try to convince black women that voting on their rights and the government in this country and to try to get back some of the rights we've lost and to change the laws in this country that are taking the lives every day of black women and girls and women in general. For her to be out here telling black women not to participate in government the way that we need to do more so ever than before. For her not even to recognize or possibly not even know all of the black women history from the past, where every advantage we got in this country, all the progress we made in this country was because of black women being politically empowered and politically active, taking their civic duties seriously, and understanding that the only way you make change in this country is to make sure whoever is in that office that governs in this country is a person that gives a fuck about everybody and not just rich white people. That shit is crazy to me how black women are not understanding that on a general simplistic level. Like, how are you not understanding that? But you listening to a woman who's a fucking millennial throw shit on older women who have lived through shit this woman will never fucking experience. And when we tell you, leave these niggas alone, leave all these racist fucking people alone, and concentrate on your own group of women and your black girls. You don't think we know what the fuck we talking about? You don't think we've been the women that was buried underneath motherfucking houses and crawl spaces in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 1800s, the 1700s, when a motherfucker had a bad day or felt like how many of these stupid black motherfuckers say today? Oh, what about the black man that's harassed every day and has to deal with the white man? So he comes home and beats the little girl, beats the mother, then rapes the little girl, rapes the mother, and then one day kills one of them and buries them under the house in the crawl space and tells everybody when people are looking for her, oh, she ran away with another man. You don't think we haven't lived through that shit and know what the fuck we talking about? When we tell you you need to be more concerned with what's going on with this country and who's running this shit instead of worrying about who is the next dick you gonna sit on or some nigga living in your house helping you 50-50 with the bills when if you didn't have this motherfucker there in the first place, your bills wouldn't be as expensive as they are. I'm getting too emotional. I'm gonna have to get off this live, but I am just so tired of these dumbass women that are so fucking performative on TikTok and YouTube. All they ever do is come online and use black women for money. Not one conversation they have is fucking concrete or relevant to any of the things black women are going through every day in their lives in every state of this country, making it easier for us to cope and survive. They're not talking about nothing but fucking cohabitating, and reproducing. We could do without those motherfucking conversations. And you black women got to stop going along with this shit. You got to stop. You got to demand them speak about being a feminist. They have to be out here speaking about black women's futures, our rights as human beings, our right to have a fucking abortion, our right to not marry someone, our right to fucking vote. These are the things you need to be talking about. And stop telling black women that your participation in the fucking government and the structure is your problem. It's your fucking solution. I don't even think she knows anything about any of the women that came before her that paved the way for her ass to be talking ignorantly like that on a mic, or for her to be in a position to openly bash Gen Xers because we're older than her and we don't fucking give a fuck about black males the way she does. I don't have a nigga in my house. I ain't married to a nigga anymore because I'm not a millennial. I have grown past that dumb shit and realized that I was wasting my fucking time in the first and the second marriage. But I don't think she's ever going to come to that realization because, like I said, I really believe she's a glorified motherfucking pick me, being a very performative person online and misleading black women in a very real fucking way, who has a problem with women who are older than her. That is how I feel. There was a time when if you told most black people you should probably seek some therapy for some of the issues you're having, they would argue you down because they felt like, rightfully so to a certain extent too, that there is racism in psychiatry. Psychiatry in itself is part of white supremacy, and that the majority of those people, they're not really on your side, but they're not there to be on your side. They're supposed to be there to teach you coping skills to deal with things you don't know how to deal with. That is primarily what their function is. And to listen to your fucking problems. But if you pay attention lately, right, since they've been watching the videos we are making online, and they realize that many Black women feel like, oh, to improve myself, I should go to therapy, I should learn different coping skills, communication skills, and understand what my shortcomings are, deal with them, make my strengths my weaknesses, and vice versa, right? So that I could become a fully rounded whole person because there's no person that has everything together and that is going to function on a perfect fucking realm. It doesn't work like that. So even your bad parts have to become good to a certain extent or as good as they could be for you to be a good person, right? Those white folks, they come on here, they listen to everything we say. We know that they try to censor and do censor the majority of our shit. That's why a lot of us are shadow banned, me especially, right? And when they see you on here trying to improve yourself, they just like a nigga. They're gonna throw a fucking wrench in the game to fuck up everything you doing. So they sat down and they said, okay, we see Black women talking about relationships, all kind of relationships. But mostly relationships with niggas and their mamas is what they talk about all day on these internet platforms. So they sat down with their little strategists like they always do, and they said, oh, we got it. Instead of doing the traditional therapy of teaching people to cope with shit and redirect some shit so they could become emotionally intelligent and learn to control themselves better and tackle the fact that they lack impulse control, but now they can pull themselves back in when they feel themselves getting lost or losing control. We're just going to tell them to alienate and cut off everybody that causes them a problem. And in turn, what that does for the masses is it isolates everybody with their own particular set of fucking madness, and they never get better. The problem never gets solved, but it gets bigger, right? And this is what we have right now. This is why I'm on this live right now today telling you about my frustration with a woman about 10, 15 years younger than me who feels like I need to be completely alienated and isolated because I don't believe in her narrative that she's spitting out. And all the lived experience I've lived through racism and different forms of Jim Crow in this very fucking country that I was born in that kept me from getting jobs in the city, state, or federal up until the 1990s, okay, in the very city I live in was a real reality. But because she's younger than me, she's never lived through that. She's never lived in environments where white supremacy was so thick in New York City, where when I left out of high school, I was literally being chased home by groups of Irish and Italian kids with sticks, broken bottles, and etc., calling me nigger, up until the point where I ran from the white neighborhood where my school was located to the black neighborhood where they knew they would not be allowed to get away with that. They would only stop. But yet, me having all that lived experience about how real this country can get, I don't have, in her opinion, anything to offer anybody or know anything, nor do I have any value as a Black woman because I'm not a millennial. This is why I tell y'all, be careful to these dingbat bitches online you're listening to, especially the ones that have these huge motherfucking platforms and they're not talking about anything political or anything that is in the feminist realm of getting women to have an independent thought process, an independent lifestyle, and a very proactive political engagement. If they're not doing that, they ain't doing nothing at fucking all. But reading motherfucking Reddit posts, talking about celebrities, bitching and screaming, and keeping gender war bullshit going instead of explaining to Black women. Do you not see that they're taking all your fucking rights away? Do you not see that they're forcing your children to be adultified into having children and being parents when they're fucking pubescents. Do you not see what they're doing? Do you not see that women are being literally attacked on the streets more so than ever because of this so-called bullshit ass lonely men fucking whatever the fuck they going through? I don't care, right? And nobody's addressing that. Do you not see that they have erased the child sex offender registry laws to where these bitch ass niggas are roaming free amongst us to attack our children without us with the ability to identify who the fuck they are? But she could come on here and tell you that an old crazy bitch like me don't know what they talking about when she tells you you need to vote and you need to be more politically active and worrying more about the government in this country than whose dick you're going to sit on next week or who you fighting to live with for 50-50 or what old nigga finds you attractive because your hair is not curly but it's straight. Do y'all not understand what I'm saying to y'all? It is time to pull back from these idiotic motherfuckers online and start really having people stand up that are talking about grassroots political movements, feminism, and talking about taking back power, control, and being politically engaged in this country the way we used to be when Shirley Chisholm was alive, when Fannie Lou Hamer was alive, when Ida B. Wells was running around this country making the whole fucking world pay attention to black people, men, women, and children being lynched every fucking day. Those are the black women leaders you need to be bigging up on fucking YouTube and TikTok. Not bitches that are sitting there talking about living with somebody, trying to get somebody, a White House, a picket fence, and 2 point whatever the fuck it is, children in this American made fantasy that everybody wants to live in. I cannot take this shit, okay? I cannot. I just seen a young girl today be fucking berated from her standing in front of my car to walking past my car to the train station by a dumbass black male who doesn't give a fuck about her humanity or how he's talking to her in public and how he's making her feel like she's literally less than the shit underneath his shoes. And I can see it. But you got a fucking millennial telling y'all that I don't know shit because she and many others are made to feel that I'm in some sort of weird fucking competition for her for these bum ass niggas that walk around out here. Not even knowing that I'd fucking cut my own wrist first before I let any of them bitch niggas touch me, live with me, or be around me in any way. Black women, you got to do better, man. You have got to pick your leaders online better, and you definitely got to have better conversations about things that affect us as black women and only us. Because we clearly see from what's going on with the Hispanic people with all these raids and kicking them out the country, nobody's giving a fuck about us if we do not give a fuck about us. And that includes every fucking black male related to you, known by you, and who exists adjacent to you. Listen, you got to stop it. You have got to stop it. And you have got to understand that this whole country is on a fucking Project 2025 agenda where black women are the motherfucking target. For those of you watching this live that did not know that in addition to all the fucking people that were fired when this dude got into office, he went ahead and fired an additional, I'm going to say that again, an additional 106,000, not 106, 106,000 black women all over this fucking country to further put us in poverty so that we cannot escape domestic violence, black femicide, and our children being killed by people that throw them in the fucking river and who put plastic bags over their heads and tie their hands behind their backs. You want to read it? Go to the Bureau of Vital Statistics or Labor Statistics. Sorry. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it shows you the people. And black women stand out abundantly. But why is your trigger not talking about that? Is that because maybe that conversation doesn't include being involved with a male or living with a man or having a constant conversation of man versus woman or black male versus black woman? Could that be the situation? Man, I'm gonna get out of here, but I'm telling you, if y'all don't start choosing your fucking leaders better than what you're doing, you're literally gonna have nobody to blame but yourself when black women have absolutely no rights in this country and they are literally grabbing our children in front of us the way they did in slavery and doing whatever they want to our little girls. You do not have black males to rely on. You apparently don't even have black women that should understand shit, like people like you're triggered, because they too busy worrying about trying to shut up black women like me, who's calling them motherfuckers out on their bullshit. You blocking me because you don't want me to write in your comment section that black women need to be more involved in being politically engaged than worrying about a fucking engagement, being fucked and getting sexually transmitted diseases from motherfuckers who can't go overseas anymore, but know they got AIDS and HIV and still want to have sex with black women without any protection, and who come into black women's homes straight out of prison or off the curb in the street and they violate their kids. They dismember them and put them in refrigerators, or they choke them to death, or shoot them to death, or stab them to death. And all of these are real accounts of what I'm saying, right? That's more important to want to be involved with instead of being on here telling black women that's the shit you're supposed to avoid. And you avoid this shit by making choices not to deal with these motherfuckers in the first place. And the second way you deal with it is you become politically engaged. You take your civic duty seriously by voting in every election for your own best interest. Fuck everybody else. And if you don't have a candidate that represents you, you throw your own hat in the fucking ring. All you got to do is go onto your own voters registration website or your own Board of Elections website, and it has step-by-step instructions on how to run as a candidate, what candidates are supposed to do, what role the government plays in every step of the election process and functioning of the government in this country. So none of you should be ignorant. And if you don't understand it that way, all you got to do is search YouTube for Schoolhouse Rock and let Schoolhouse Rock teach you all of the functions of all three of the governments. And then you sit there and watch the players in those parts of government and make sure you keep notes on how they vote on agendas, laws, and bills that concern your everyday fucking life. And when they do not vote to include you and make sure your life gets easier, you do not put those motherfuckers in office. Those are the type of things people like you're triggered and even others like Verb and Bougie need to be fucking talking about and not just about relationships and how old bitches like me don't know what the fuck they talking about and we have nothing to offer. We have nothing to give because we're the problem in the black community. Y'all got to pick your leaders better than what y'all doing. Because these are some simple, fickle-minded bitches y'all are listening to that are going to have y'all living in a real black women only slavery in America or a very real fucking black American woman apartheid in America. But what the fuck do either one of those women care I mentioned? Because they got a black husband at home, don't they? So according to their beliefs and their pick-me kingdom they live in, they better than the rest of us, right? Which is why an old motherfucker like me without husbands, who don't want husbands, could never tell anybody younger than me nothing. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? And that's the reason why when you go to therapy these days, all those racist people that watch our relationships with one another tell you to further alienate and cut people off because they like to keep the same type of ignorant behavior, relationship problems, personality disorders. They like to keep all of that shit alive and well. If a black woman and her daughter, a black daughter and her mother don't get along, you know what white people know, you know what black males know who are part of the patriarchy? That is a black woman who has no support. And therefore she's going to be vulnerable to every attack society wages on her because she don't got nobody looking out for her. So when you listening to people like your trigger and they're telling you that you shouldn't vote, right? Because if you're not part of the establishment, that shuts it down and all that dumb shit they talk, all that does is make you less human than everybody else in this country that your ancestors built. Because believe me, every other black woman in history who fought in this country and made any progress knew that the way you do it is with political empowerment each and every fucking time. That is the way black women were allowed to go to school. That is the way black women were allowed to become entrepreneurs and millionaires, business owners. That is the way we were able to do everything by having political empowerment. So if ever you have one of these fickle women who are blinded by dick and balls and having some nigga burping and leaving the toilet seat up in their home just to say they got one, telling you that voting is not going to help you, please, please, let her talk to her fucking self the way you should have from the beginning. I'm done, y'all. I'm done. And I really hope that y'all understand how important it is to tell everyone you know that is close to you and who will listen. Do not listen to any black woman. Don't listen to any black male. Don't listen to nobody telling you that you should not vote in the midterms. If these racist white people continue to have a majority of Republicans after the election of midterms, you might as well kiss all your freedoms goodbye. They will literally turn this country into a full dictatorship. And if you think that you're going to win or black men are going to be on top because you think that's all they care about, go study what happened to Germany when Hitler took over Germany and what happened to the Jews, the blacks, the disabled, the gays, and everybody else that was in Germany when that motherfucker came into power. That will be exactly what will happen in America. Let me tell you another thing, and then I'm gonna get out of here because I see they starting to fuck with my signal, right? In 1933, I think it was from 1930 to 1933, the same stuff that you see happening today with them throwing out the Hispanics and the Haitians and everybody else they don't like from this country, they did that in the 30s and it was called the Repatriation Act, right? They deported over 3 million people from this country. The full economy fucking tanked out, completely tanked out. People had no jobs. The country was bankrupt. It was disgusting in this country. People were literally eating out of garbage cans, fighting each other over clothing, etc. If you sit your ass home like 3 to 5 million people, black people did during the elections with Kamala and allow white people to win again, you will definitely be living in a dictatorship where they will most definitely take everything away from black people and do the worst to black women. I hope y'all understand that. When they got rid of all those people in 1933, the economy crashed, everything crashed. The Great Depression, all that shit was happening, right? Let me tell you something. It took time for this to get back. You would have thought they learned from that. Well, actually, they did. It's just this guy that's there now. His family is German. They come from that history of Hitler that he idolizes. And if you sit down and you let people like your trigger tell you that your vote doesn't count and you tear down an establishment by not participating in it, and you listen to the dumb shit her and many other people are telling you like that, you're going to be very sorry that you did. And before I get off, I just want to say one thing, right? Please go vote Democrat all the way down the ballot. Not because Democrats are the best, not because you like them so much, or like Umar says, we're slaves on a Democratic plantation. None of that. It's the fact that, real simple, this is really what it comes down to. You currently have right now a super majority of fucking Republicans. Do you see all the craziness in this world that we're living in America? Do you know that we're literally heading into World War III because of this president? Did you know that Israel bombed Iran? You know, Iran is not fucking playing with nobody, right? And do you know that according to international law, they have the right to defend themselves? Do you know that America has been shooting out the sky Iran's missiles to attack Israel back? When that happens, and they're also sending ships over there right now, right? And China said, you fuck with Iran, we're back in Iran. And all of the war pieces are starting to be put into position. So if you do not vote in the midterms to get rid of these crazy fucking white men and women out of all of the major fucking governments and get back our American government to be a equal powered 3 branch government, we all gonna be dead in a few months because they're gonna nuke the shit out of everybody and the whole world gonna be done. So when it comes to voting, you take voting serious. So that shit like this that will happen or is probably gonna happen can be stopped before it gets so out of hand. If you people would have voted the right way in November of 2024, we would never be here today. That is what people like your triggers should be explaining to you instead of talking about 50-50 marriage, fucking, having children, and bullshit. Okay? I'm out. I really hope y'all understand what I'm telling you. Pick your fucking leaders on YouTube and TikTok better than you're doing now. Because these bitches are bugged out. They only care about making money off exploiting black women and telling you to stay in the fuckery. Okay? Have a good rest of your Saturday. I'm gonna be stressed out the rest of the fucking day because I'm looking at what they're doing in the whole fucking world, not just where I live. Okay? Enjoy the rest of your day, y'all. Be well. Please keep keep your mind focused on politics. Keep your mind on fighting for feminism, women's rights, and black women's status in this country. Fuck everything else. That is important. That is the way we progress. Getting married to some nigga, worrying about who wants to fuck us, that don't mean anything. Please do the right fucking thing. Have a good day.